Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report for October 8th, 2022. This is your weekend drop. Hope everyone's doing well and you guys are out there finding some bangers out there in the wild. A lot of the coins that we're going to be talking about today are all raw, ungraded pieces. Coins that traditionally don't need to be graded, but there are a few pieces on this list that me personally I'm shaking my head at because why isn't it in a graded holder? I don't know. We'll talk about some of these, but it just goes to show you that even some of the most extreme errors and varieties don't necessarily need to be in a graded holder to sell for big money. Now, all the coins here, of course, are being found out there by going through just massive amounts of change. Coin roll hunting is probably the biggest activity to draw some of these items out. But of course, you can't overlook the prospect of just simply cherry picking your local coin shop or a show. That's where a lot of the big finds are going to come from. Oftentimes, coin dealers, they don't really care too much about some of the errors and varieties that you're going to see today. Some of the big ones, they do. They will care because they know it's big money, but aside from that, where there's some opportunity, a dealer's trash is going to be your treasure at the end of the day. Just think about that perspective, and then you will do just fine, like I do, like a bunch of my other close counterparts do when we're out there looking around. A lot of your resources to identify some of these can be found online. You could go to error/ref or error-ref.com is a great website to kind of familiarize yourself with the myriad of different US Mint errors, and boy, there is a lot. And of course, we can't ignore some of the other websites out there like coppercoins.com, doubledie.com, what else? Variety Vista, Lincoln Cent Resources, another good one for more Lincoln Cent stuff. Lincoln Cents have just been dominating, of course, the error and variety scene. It's not a surprise that there are a number of websites dedicated to that particular coin. But you guys need to bookmark these websites as a quick reference guide if you're out there, especially at the coin show and shop. They probably really don't take too kindly to folks bringing in their red book price guides and their cherry pickers guides. Could you be any more obvious, right? But yeah, in any opportunity where you can pick up some of these coins for a cheaper price because they're not attributed by the dealer is going to be a fantastic win. You could add something really nice to your existing collection or resell that I know a lot of other people like to do. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. These are all, of course, sold listings from about the last 48 hours or so. We're going to start it off with a piece of currency. So yeah, we're going big already. 1985 $1 bill is what we have here. Pretty interesting, neat little thing happening there on the bottom left-hand corner of this note. This is actually referred to as a butterfly fold. So the actual subject sheet where this particular note came from had a fold on the corner. And it was never rectified before the printings occurred. The printings, as you guys know, is applied in a couple different passes. One for the reverse, and then the front, and then the overprint, which is going to make up your serial numbers and your district seals. So in this particular case, yeah, there is a fold on the corner of the sheet, attributing to what we see here. A pretty wild looking error. I've seen some pretty big examples of these with folds that are way bigger than this one. Although this one is quite attractive in its own right. It was even cut while it was still folded. Now that'll blow your mind. This particular note, raw, again, this is probably one of the short list of items that I cannot personally believe is not graded. This one sold for $256. The butterfly folds, but this one's really nice too. These things just have just an amazing draw of interest, just really nice. Sorry, that was my dogs, in case you were wondering. Yeah, they're outspoken as much as I am. But coming up next here, we have a 1968 D Lincoln Memorial cent. I mean, what in the world happened here? This coin looked like it was chewed up. And the perspective on this one is someone will look at it and say, yeah, it looks like it was cut, intentionally. But what we have here is a rather ragged clip. So this is kind of like a end of strip planchet that was punched out. It's going to have that ragged nature to it. Sometimes you'll get just really weird looking, fissures and rags and things like that. But you're going to have a very abnormally ragged edge to this feature. This coin, by the way, is really nice. This is a very nice mint state graded coin. This particular example sold for $22.30. So if you think that the first few coins are kind of nutty, all right, let's go ahead and tone it down a little bit with some more approachable coins. But you should never ignore these, even though they didn't sell for nearly the amount of money that the previous two coins did. How about this 2012 P Roosevelt dime? This is an uncentered broad strike. So you can see the fatter rim around the top and left area of this coin. The collar wasn't exactly in place during the strike, therefore leading to the flow of the metal flow going outwards. All right, the collar is what holds the coin in. It also has the reading in itself is its own die because of that reading. But when it's not there and it's non-existent, the metal flow will go outwards. All right, therefore making a coin that is going to be a little bit bigger than the standard size and diameter of the coin in question. This one right here is sold for $5.08. Sure, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but would you really throw this thing back? If you really don't care about $5, you could do that and leave it for the next person. But keep in mind, all the sales you make, small, large, medium, they all go into the same pot. You're going to be appreciative of the $3 or so of profit that you'll make off of selling like this. So definitely don't ignore it. Some of the most successful eBay sellers will gladly take this kind of sale because it all goes into the same pot. Same for this one. Not a very attractive coin by any stretch. The coin is pretty well beat up and chewed up, especially on the rims of both sides. 1972 Lincoln Memorial cent exhibits two prominent curved clips on there. Again, this is one of the low end of the totem pole featured errors that you'll find out there. They're not rare at all to find. I have like a group of them, a bag that I've compiled over the years, and you can either sell them individually like this person did, or go ahead and sell them in groups. All right, so you can't really go wrong either way. This one right here is sold for $5.10. So if it would be a different story if this one only had a single clip. It probably wouldn't sell for $5, but this one has two clips. It's a little bit earlier date, so it got the $5.10 it deserved. And this is another good one. This is actually a perennial favorite of mine. I've found a few of these, and they are quite neat. They're more of a what I call situational type of error because of where the placement is. But this is a 2015 P Homestead ATB quarter with the snow on roof is what they call it. Snow on roof die chips. This one has quite a bit of snow. It's not the most amount of snow that I've seen on the top of the roof. But this one is quite nice. And if you look hard enough, right above this little window pane, you can see a little bit of a die chip, some extra snow that's piled up on that area. It just looks natural, like it belongs there. So if you're able to find one of these, they are worth a few bucks. This one happened to sell for $7, keeping in mind, if you looked at the previous photo, the coin is quite circulated. And for something that's 7 years old, that's about as much as you could ask for. Another thing to look out for is the bottom of bucket. They call it the leaky bucket die chip as well on there. And of course, you have just an insane amount of doubled dies that revolves around this particular window right here, including the double pump handle WDDR number 4. So a lot to look for in this date. If you guys are on the East Coast, this is a really fun hunt. There you go. I just love this. So a little word to the wise, if you're dipping into much older coins, specifically some kind of unique type pieces like a 3-cent nickel that you see here, there are some varieties that might actually do more harm to a coin's value than do good. Say for instance, this particular example that has just a really small, shallow rim clip. It's really nothing to write home to mother about. But if you were to ask most collectors, especially that deals in like US type and less of the error crowd, they're going to say, well, I would prefer to have a coin that doesn't have that minor of an error or anomaly on there. But, you know, it's like they're not willing to pay more for something like that. So I would expect you guys to not overpay for these type of coins if and only if a dealer or someone has it attributed as a rim clip. This particular example here is sold for $52.55. I do want to note that the coin exhibits some pretty nice die clashing, which is actually quite common for this particular date of 3-cent Liberty nickel. Pretty neat one here, nice little score. We have a group of 10, a little bit older. I believe these are 1990 series. So it's the last year of the smaller head design. $20 star notes, 10 consecutive altogether. The notes are in really nice shape. I would venture to guess that they were discovered very early on and pulled out. I would say, and probably go on a limb and kind of dub these as crisp and circulated. There might be a little minor wear on them. So for the 10 notes, which is $200 face, this lot sold for $336.10. So we have a couple back-to-back presidential dollar coins. Man, these things are atrocious. They're not my favorite to collect. I know they're quite plentiful, but, you know, the U.S. Mint pulled a little bit of a, shenanigans, kind of like they hit the brakes really hard on this series and ended up probably like 2 years into the series, ended up just minting these NIFC style, which means not intended for circulation. You could only order them through the U.S. Mint, which made them a whole heck of a lot harder to collect into because you can't find them in circulation. Except for good old Georgie boy over here, which is a 2007 Philadelphia, at least speculatively that's what it is, because this is a missing edge lettering. And this particular shot right here is quite out of focus, but you could see just enough on there to know that it is a missing edge lettering. For those of you that don't know, during this particular series, they ended up putting things like the motto and the date and mint mark all on the edge of the coin. So all that stuff was on the collar. And, there are a number of examples spanning every single presidential dollar design of this series that will have missing edge lettering. It just so happens that George Washington is the most common of them all. Now, these things, had dropped down to about $5, right? Nobody really wanted them. They are quite plentiful, but, you just don't see as many of them today as we used to from, say, 10 years ago. So as a result, this one here, which by the way looks very circulated, sold for $29.94. And we also have this one here as well. Same, error type on there. This one, it's a great picture to illustrate what you should not do, and that is flood your coin with one particular lighting. This is something that I see a lot with like LED lighting with no diffuser on there. So you're going to get that massive glare, and it could also make the picture out of focus, kind of like what this one is, but a lot better edge photos. A little tip for you guys: make sure your fingernails are clean and trimmed if you're going to be doing these this level of photos. I don't particularly care for the way that he was handling the coin, especially when you're not wearing gloves or anything, because it is a missing edge lettering, and the last thing you want is a fingerprint on your coin, even though it's circulated a little bit. Have a little bit of, just really care about your sales, and do what you need to do so that way you don't do this. This coin sold for $19.99, which, by the way, it looks a little bit better than the previous example. So the market's kind of squirrely on this coin. There was actually a few other examples. There was like 4 or 5 that sold back to back here in the last 24 hours. I have a feeling they're all from the same buyer. There was another one that sold for 25, another one that sold for a little bit less. They're just kind of all over the place. But yeah, a pretty cool error, quite common. Make sure you're looking at the edge of every single one of these presidential dollar coins. Now, you wouldn't think that this 1985D would be quite the gem to find out there in a roll of pennies, but this one is. It's actually a very scarce variety. This is an RPM. The seller did a fantastic job highlighting with these arrows exactly what you're focusing on. This particular coin is RPM number 1. All right, so that's an official catalog or attributed catalog number for this coin. This one sold for $23.90. And I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I would take that all day long because of the condition. If it was a like a full red, very nice, brilliant mid-state example, I would probably end up keeping something like that for my personal collection. Check your scrap silver. The 1900 is a very common date in mint mark. So these things today are being sold for like $25 a coin. So you could really cherry pick one of these. And we always see probably a good, maybe 5 to 10 of these sold every week. And that's how common they are. But it's still a popular variety. 1900 over CC mint mark. So this one you can see actually the left Carson City Mint letter right there, and then the other coming in through here. It looks like a pair of horns. So this is a very well-known VAM variety. I think it's even in the Red Book. That's how popular it is. This one ended up selling for $133, which is a tremendous amount of money that you could earn and get rewarded for this. Did you see the condition of the coin? I mean, it's not anything super. So, you could really do a number by just simply paying extra attention to your Morgan dollars. These, by the way, as far as silver content is concerned, is one of the most widely picked up coins outside of like Silver Eagles and things like that. Pretty neat one here. We've talked about these till we've turned blue in the face, but here's yet again another statehood quarter cud die break on a West Virginia 2005P. You could see it if I turn to this picture. The amazing arrows, one pointing to the actual complete cud, and then the other is actually a beginnings of what I feel like is another cud, or that's what the seller believes so, and it could be. I've never seen a double cud on West Virginia before. I don't even know if it exists, but this one does have a few cracks of what could be another one. This one sold for $14 through a couple bids on there. Another great variety here on a very common date of Buffalo nickel. 1938D over D repunched mint mark. You can see the secondary D is punched westward of the primary mint mark on this one. And I've found quite a few of these. And this is a coin, honestly, that you could cherry pick out of like bulk Buffalo nickels at a coin shop for under $1. That's how cheap they are. But if you could find one of these, you could sell them for many times face, or many times the amount you paid for them. This one sold for $16. Well done. That was a good sale. All right, Fox Coins had this beautiful 1960D Lincoln Memorial cent. This is, of course, one of the big varieties of the series. This is the small over large date variety along with the RPM. So this is the FS 101 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. If I turned over to Fox Coins other image here with all these arrows, you can see exactly what makes up the small over large date. You can see it especially on the 6 of the date, that extra bottom tail of a small 6 on there, and then of course the RPM. The secondary D is punched way northward of the primary. This one right here sold for $55.96 with 20 bits. A lot of activity. Very rarely do we see these sold ungraded. Our next currency item here is a $1995 bill with a couple little gutter folds. One that goes all the way across top to bottom, and then another secondary wrinkle. And yeah, you heard that right. This is caused by simply a wrinkle or a number of wrinkles on the subject sheet before the printing occurred. In this particular case, no one had stretched out the wrinkles or tossed out that sheet. One of two things would have happened there. But yeah, the wrinkles were definitely in place throughout all the printings. Never paid any attention to. This one sold for $73.99. Another big one to look out for. Sure, the coin is propping up on about 3 years old here really soon. But the 2020p American Samoa double bat quarter is a great find if you could find the struck through anomaly, like you see here on this one. It's not the biggest strike through, but it is a pretty good one. And you can even see a good fair amount of feeder finger scrapes in that flat field area to the right of the bat's face. This one sold for $55.40. Always a top-notch error, and still very highly liquid even today. Now, compared to the previous 3-cent nickel, this is probably the one I would say is the best type to look for. The condition is on par, if not maybe a little bit better compared to the other example with that little rim clip. But the big thing is the varieties. This one has a really strong repunch date. You can see the repunching on the 8, 6, and 5. Wow, this thing is incredible. And I've never personally found one of these. It's always been kind of like a coin that, yeah, I'll keep an eye out on. If I come across one, I'll definitely buy it. But yeah, this is a fantastic, very notable cherry picker's guide variety. It's the FS304. This one sold for a very cool $200. Yeah, I mean, that's what we play for. The coin is in really nice shape. It is the most common date of 3-cent nickel, and generally you can pick these up for about $50 to $60 in this condition. Pretty minor one here, but hey, it's worth a shot talking about. This $2 bill has a little bit of a misalignment of that overprint. You could see some overlapping of things like the green district seal and a few of the other elements, overlapping other design elements from the initial first print. This one right here sold for $22.48 with 9 bids. Pretty good catch by the finder. A little bit of a back image. Again, I have to really throw a shout out on this one. This is like one of my favorite overall total designs on modern U.S. currency. Pretty cool one here. I mean, not surprised that this one is on a 1950s Lincoln cent. That seems to be like the common decade for detached laminations, especially one that looks this big. 57D this time. This one probably detached a long time ago because it has retoned beautifully to that nice chocolatey brown color. It's something to keep an eye out on. Again, these used to be kind of worthless a few years ago. Now people are enjoying and reveling in the beauty of these lamination peels, which all they take different shapes and sizes and all that. It really depends on like the type of impurities that the metal has before the strip had fallen off at one point. So this one here sold for $17. So again, put it in perspective, 2-3 years ago, you would have a hard time selling this for $1, but they've come around for sure. Here's a really small one. Small in a sense that it's not the biggest burning building strike through on the Tuskegee Airmen, but it is a good one nonetheless. Again, these are 2021 Ps. These were found about a year ago, maybe just a little bit longer than that. They've just been making beautiful history since. And many thousands of dollars were made off of this one error. But a really good one here. This particular example sold for $45.95. Again, not the biggest example of the strike through on the building there on the reverse, but it is a good one. Here's another Buffalo nickel. Again, we're dealing with some planchet flaws. This is a 1930 Buffalo nickel. When we look a little bit closer, you can see that what they call a lamination crack, where nothing is really split or detached, but you can see like the beginnings of the impurities taking place here on this coin. Pretty decent shaped nickel. One of the more common dates to find this anomaly, and again, you can pick this up for under $1 if you use your cherry picking skills. This particular example ended up selling for $19.99. So I would definitely trade a $20 bill all day long for this. And another good one here, this time a 2004 D Wisconsin high leaf variety. The pictures aren't fantastic, and I kind of see why that the reverse image is darker, so that way they could highlight the extra engraved line here to make up the high leaf a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, again, these were commonly distributed. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. No commonly about it. These were dumped in the Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas region of the U.S. back in 2004. Even to this day, they're still being found there. Albeit this particular one was sold from a seller in, I believe, North Carolina. So they're making their rounds all across the U.S. There was even someone that had found one in like Washington State. So they are out there. This one right here is the more valuable of the two types. And it sold for $123.80 with 3 bids this time. All right, we didn't have much in the way of lots of coins, but this one right here is worth a mention because I think there's no money to be made on this one. And let me tell you why. We have a lot of 5 off-center struck Lincoln memorial cents, none of which has any readable full date. All right, I know a couple of them are like year 2000-ish type of era, so it could be anywhere from a 2000 to 2008. Because the reverses are all the memorial backs. But what do we know about these coins? These are generally very collected based off of the readability of a date, and these don't have it. Here's a little bit of a reverse picture. They're all copper-coated zincans. Of course, our favorite composition. This one right here ended up as a sale for $58.95, which puts it at about $11 and some change a piece, I believe. Almost $12. And I just don't see it. If this is for a collection, that's fine. But for resales, this one is a big time overspend. I would have, gladly paid like $25-30 for this lot because you cannot read any of the dates. So that kind of makes a little bit of a difference. If you guys are kind of headhunting for these groups of coins, make sure you're aware that the full dates will get you more money. This one's a little out of focus, and I do have one thing I want to point out, but this is the Wilma Mankiller 2022 obverse cud with some of the strike through on both sides of the coin. Again, this is the big error for this year, bar anything crazy coming out of the final American Women Quarter Series coin, which is going to be the, I forgot. It's not Otero Warren. It's, Anime Wong, sorry. So this one right here, and I don't know if it's a case of deceptive nature, because the reverse picture is good. Why couldn't they make the same picture of the obverse where it like matters most? But I don't know if you guys see it. I think it's got a little bit of that ring of death on here. I don't know if that's an attempt to mask that by making it a little bit out of focus. But this one was actually sold at full market for this particular single-sided anomaly, which, by the way, is $282.60, and it was bid up through 20 bids, so it was in an auction format. But you have to absolutely 100% disclose that it has the counter wheel damage, which is commonly seen on coins that are on the end of a bankroll. Because there's a little finger that aids in the crimping process of those end coins, and it will scrape the end coin every single time. This one, if that's the case, and I hope it's not. Maybe it's just the pictures, playing tricks on my eyes. But you don't want to sell a coin for $200-$300 and have it come back because you didn't disclose all the information needed. So a pretty good sale. These things are still very healthy in the market. If you guys are looking to make a few, extra $100, go out there and look for these. They're still there. Do it before the anime Wong coins drop, because that's going to just further dilute what's out there currently. So if you're on the East Coast, look out for these. Always a favorite here, 2017P Lincoln Shield Cent with the amazing obverse clashing. You could see the pretty strong clashing of the areas you see in front of Lincoln. And you could see Unum clashed in there. You could see a little bit of the clashing behind his head as well. This is a great one, and still a very reliable seller. This one ended up at $40.60. Look out for these. They are quite common. So here's the other note that I thought, shoot, this thing should be in a graded holder. All right. Didn't we just talk about an inverted third print error last Saturday? And here we go. Here's another one on a 1977 $5 bill. Yeah, all of the overprint is upside down. So the sheet was not placed correctly during the printing process. It was upside down or whatever. And that's what we got here. Again, these are commonly graded by PCGS Currency or PMG, or even Legacy as well as another graded company. But yeah, these things are ridiculously expensive for what they are. And traditionally, you see these sell for multiple hundreds of dollars, if not thousands. This one right here is sold for $386.88 with 15 bids. What a grand note this thing is. Pretty cool looking Connecticut State Quarter 1999P with an obverse indent. And this one actually also has a partial tilted collar. So the indent happens when it's when another coin is essentially on top of it, or a blank, and they're struck together. So there's actually a mated pair or another part to this out there. A little bit of a side view of that partial collar. You can see that the collar was tilted slightly, allowing just the strike of half of the reading on there. They call these, railroads or railroad edges or something like that. Partial tilted collar is my perennial favorite. This one right here is a $46.30 sale, which is quite good. I think a lot of that has to do with the indent. Oh boy. So here's another coin that I wish did not have a clip. 1872 Indian Head Cent. This thing is nice, by the way. I would say it's probably a very easy XF45 grade, which is a real shame that it has the clip, because I would have loved it a lot better without it. Just like that 3-cent nickel we saw earlier, this is not a coin that will necessarily enhance in value because of this minor error, but it is on there. This one right here sold for $282. I mean, it's still sold for a good bucket of money. It probably would have fetched a little bit more without the clip. Now, this one's pretty neat. So we're all fully aware, at least I'd like to think that we're all aware, that there was a couple of newly attributed double the dies for the Maya Angelou quarter. Specifically, the Philadelphia minted examples, and they all have what we call the doubled earring on the reverse, right on Maya Angelou. The first one, the VDDR number 1, is what you see here. So you see the doubled earring there. So it's doubled southwest of the earring that's on there. We helped the person that found and discovered this variety get hers attributed. along with the two other ones, the VDDR number 2 and 3. So our group, the Live Coin Q&A, all played a role in the discovery and attribution of this particular variety. So these things have been a knockout seller. I mean, they have outclassed a lot of the other errors that at one time sold for quite a bit of money. You know, like the edge of mouth drooling die chip and all that stuff. Yeah, those things are basically not worth finding anymore. What you want to find is this coin right here, which, you know, this particular seller had 14 of them that he had listed in this particular listing here. Ended up with a $299 sale for 14 of them. So, yeah, if you're still coming across a bunch of Maya Angelou quarters and you're on the East Coast, boys and girls, look out for these. They seem to travel in groups too. Because if you come across like a bank box of them and, you know, you're just kind of searching through it and you found one, more than likely you're going to find a whole lot more because those particular coins were struck from maybe, you know, 2, maybe 3 sets of dies. So it's a very, very nice variety. It's a nice variety. That's what I meant to say. Pretty cool. $300 sale. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. That's like easy money. 1916 Buffalo Nickel. Not the greatest of shapes, but yes, it is a 2-feather variety. The third feather, which is usually right here, was over-polished or abraded away. There are a number of dates to find here of this one. It's also in the Cherry Picker's Guide. Sold for $30. All right, pretty good. They're all worth kind of like pretty good money when they're, you know, in this kind of like condition. Another good one here. I've sold quite a few of these. As a matter of fact, I have to remember to post more of these on my eBay store. I've got a whole gaggle of the 56D over D RPM number 1, in case you guys need a little refresher. The secondary D is punched westward of the primary. A very strong, elegant repunched mint mark. It's in the Cherry Picker's Guide. It's a very well-known variety, and it is dirt common, but yet still a great sale. This one ended up at $33.90 for its final. Couple more coins. How about Peace Dollar? This one, by the way, is a 34D Peace Dollar. Not the greatest looking coin. It looks like it's cleaned. So it's, you know, I wouldn't say it's going to be a straight graded example, but this is a well-known doubled die obverse. You can see the doubled rays in the tiara or the crown here on Lady Liberty. Very strong on the right side, and then kind of weakens down as you get to the left. It's also a very nice VAM variety, top 100, I'm sure. This one sold for $80.50. Probably would have sold for a bunch more if it wasn't, you know, cleaned. At least I'm going to speculate and say it's clean just based off of the photos. And oh boy, the final coin of the day is going to be a 1983p Jefferson nickel. What do you guys see? Some pretty amazing die clashing, right? This is probably one of the strongest I've seen. They do get a lot stronger in this, by the way. But yeah, it's a very neat error that's commonly found in 1980s Jefferson nickels. They even go into the 1990s as well. But yeah, just examine, you know, all the clashing on the reverse that you see here, and you know, on the bottom of Monticello. The obverse, you'll see Monticello clashed right in there, and even the O in Monticello is sitting right there as well. So, pretty cool coin. Now you guys are figuring, oh yeah, it's like $2-3 coin, right? No, die clashing, especially to this extreme level, sells for quite a bit of money. This one ended up as a $80.60 type of sale, if you know what I mean. You guys will want to look for these. They are just amazing. They're awesome, and I love coming across these when I do. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for your Saturday edition of the PCMR. Hopefully you guys got a little bit of a inspiration to find some of these. So go out there, look for these coin rolls. Keep in mind, we're heading into the holidays. One of two things are happening. There's more coins being injected into circulation because people are wrapping up their change, bringing it to the bank. They're getting ready for the holidays, kind of scraping together some fundage. And number two, there's a lot of people that are going to the bank looking for these rolls. So you really have to strike while the iron's hot. Be intentional about it. Set up appointments to to order some of these if you can. That opportunity will be out there, so make sure you take advantage of it while you can. It's always a busy time of the year, so between now and the end of the year is going to be like the hot area to really focus and hone in on collecting some of these bankrolls. But anyways, that's going to go ahead and do it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel and to the video. If you haven't done so already, your extra endorsement goes a long way for me to do more videos like this. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. You guys take care. Happy hunting. Good luck. And I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.